Michael, let us start.
Now it is okay.
Okay, okay.
Sir, Mr. K. Sukumaran, Dean of NISM, just introduce him that he is entered this program also. Mr.
Okay,
K. Sukumaran.
Okay, that's a great news. That's a great news. He's most welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
So should we start, sir?
Yes.
Gautam sir, kindly show my video. My video has been put off.
Okay.
Arup sir, this is Shiny. Shiny here. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Please ask Gautam sir to make me co-host.
Yes. Gautam Babu will make you co-host and Michael will start. Probably Michael is still muted.
No, he isn't muted.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
All are co-host.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Good to hear you. So I think, sir, with your permission, can we start?
Yes, yes. Please start.
Okay. So thank you very much for joining this session. Good evening, everyone. I hope that everyone is safe in these times. My name is Mike Rocha, and I'm a senior consultant and architect at IBM Global Services. Today, it's my honor and privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker, Professor Arup Choudhuri. My first acquaintance of Professor Choudhuri was when he was my professor at ICFAI in 2005. Since then, he has gone on to become my mentor and in many ways a close friend. I'm not going to speak of Professor Choudhury's many achievements. I think everyone who's on this call knows Professor Choudhury very well. There are enough websites and news articles where you can go and obtain this information. Spend a little time speaking of Professor Choudhuri as a person, as I know him, because beneath his seemingly unassuming manner, there is a very sharp and incredible mind, I would say. Professor Choudhuri has a unique ability to be able to get to the core of a problem, to look at it from a myriad of perspectives, and to create those, what I call aha moments with his insights. And it's what many of us consultants can only aspire to be. His very voracious appetite for knowledge, his deep interest in history, and his very, sort of empathetic approach to problem solving make all his seminars, very interesting and much sought after. Professor Choudhuri has mastered the art of storytelling. His perspectives from history, business, banking, finance, and education, all these different perspectives combined to create a very powerful narrative. But, enough said. I'll now leave you in the very enjoyable company of a brilliant mind. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Again, namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. Those who have joined from Bangladesh, my colleagues who are bankers, professors over there, and all the learned and esteemed guests, you are spending your time over here. Thank you so much. It is Michael's magnanimity, the way he had introduced myself. Sometimes I feel very embarrassed whenever someone tells so many things about you. Thank you, Michael. Today, this session is different because today I am representing Acacia Global Consulting. The issue was that in 2012, whenever I left the post of the director of a reputed business school, it was not a very easy decision because I was finding that I was getting invitation from different countries, providing training programs, providing lectures and all that. I could understand it will be difficult for me to be there in a B school, just running a B school. So I left my job. I started this organization. First, it was very small. And today we do a number of programs for different organizations all over the country, especially in India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, that is South Asia. And then we moved to Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, England, and in different other places. So I started to give programs for banks, and especially risk management is one of my favorite subject, and therefore I was introduced, and many of my colleagues from the banking world, they were there. I have never worked with a bank, but I had been intertwined with different banks whenever they had their problems as a consultant, as a trader, as a friend. I appeared in their team to help them. So today I would like to tell you some of my observations about the future of banking, where it is going, and maybe how shall we actually reconfigure ourselves for the new type of banking which is going to come. To start with the whole thing, let me just take you back 50 years back, when I was in school. I was small, and I went with my parents to the city of Lucknow. You know that city of Lucknow has a Nawabi tradition. The architectures are typical, and you can see the Gomti River. It was a great city, and we were going to different places, and suddenly it started to rain torrentially. At that point of time, we had no place to take shelter. So we were taking, we had taken shelter just at the entrance of a bank, where we were getting drenched, but still our heads were safe. So my parents and I, we were standing over there, and I was a kid at that point of time. Suddenly the branch manager of the bank, it was the Central Bank of India, one of the leading PSU banks, the branch manager opened the door and he called us in. He served us tea and biscuits, and he also served us some special Lucknowi sweets. We didn't know him, but he just did it. And whenever we came back, my father, he had been a professor for the whole of his life. He decided that he will open an account with Central Bank of India. There was no Central Bank of India near our house. So he ultimately got one which is practically 4 kilometers away, and he opened his account. And still after 52 years, right now he is 87, his account is there with Central Bank. So that was the kind of personal banking that we have seen in India. And it was there in most of the parts of the world, where the banker and customer shared a very personal relationship. We could share a lot of things to the bankers. The bankers used to ask the client's son or daughter, what are you studying? What will you take as your specialization, or what kind of career you are looking for? But somehow that kind of banking is changing very fast. Therefore, and I believe that we are actually standing at a juncture when we are going for a big change. Always things change in infinitesimal way, slowly. But at some point of time, we find a big jump or a big change. So if we take back, because Michael introduced me, because I love to see the things which are from history, because if we track from there, it becomes easier to understand what may be the things which will be coming forward. You see that money lending was there, but banking as a profession, banking as a vocation was not there in the world. So for a long period of time, maybe if we track from 5000 BC, that means all these civilizations, the Chinese civilization, Sumerian civilization, Indian, Indus Valley civilization. So we find that if we link because whenever it was money was introduced as a medium of exchange, from that point of time, the money lending business was there. So there were money lenders, there were practically no regulations on them, and there was another institution which acted more of a bank. That had been the treasuries of the kings. All the kings or the monarchs, they always had a treasury, because whatever they earned from the taxes, that was kept over there. So many of the kings, they boasted of having jewelries, diamonds, and different kinds of precious stones, gold, etc. in their treasury. And the kings also used to give loans to the big traders. Therefore, the loan giving, taking interest, that was there inherent in this system. Normally in India, the head of the treasury of any kingdom was designated as Amatta. So Amatta used to take care. Maybe he had been the old, I would say the representative of the governor of the central bank. It was just like that. Though he was not governing all the other money lenders, but his role was to make the state flushed with funds and making the welfare of people. So these money lenders, this is a painting by Chris Bolt, where we find that Jesus Christ is actually cleansing a place where money lenders were sitting. So this profession was not taken as a noble profession. So it was this profession was hated, because money lending, taking interest, even we have found that in Islam it is a kind of a haram. Even in Christianity, we have found that these people were not taken as in right spirit. But money lending was there. And now if we see that for a long period of time, that was banking. No banking, the term banking was not there, but people used to lend money, and the kings had their treasury. Therefrom also big money lending was to be done. Now we find that after the Renaissance in Italy, we found that organized banking started to come. Though the term banking was not used, but a number of Jewish money lenders, they used to sit together, and they used to give a name to their organization. If you call that an organization, 4 or 5 people sitting on a bench giving money to people. So they started this kind of an organized money lending. Those who are art lovers, you know Matisse, Quentin Matisse. This is a painting by Matisse where we find some Jewish money lenders. They are sitting with all their books and papers. So these are the people who used to give money to the traders, because by that time, people used to go for trade from the ports. And we all know the great character of William Shakespeare in Merchant of Venice, Shylock, who lent 3,000 ducat to Antonio, and because he couldn't give the money, therefore he was ready to take a pound of flesh, and he appeared in the court. We know that. So money lending was a profession. They were Jews, they were hated, but they were very important at that point of time in the trading world. Where did they sit? They used to sit in the ports. The big ports where people used to go for clearing their goods, they required money, and they used to give money to them. And because they sat on the bench, in Latin, the bench and at the same time, you will find the French word bank. From that, the term banking had come. So banking had emerged from a bench. And whenever these people, because they also used to take a lot of risk because they were taking other people's money and they used to lend. So if the person who had taken money didn't give them back, in that case, they would have gone bankrupt. And whenever they were bankrupt, at that point of time, they used to break the bench. And therefrom the term bankruptcy had come, the bench that is broken. So that was a period of time, around 300 years, we find this kind of organized money lending and the term banking was coming. The next thing, whenever industrial revolution came, that is from 18th century to 20th century, we had very organized banking with the proper name of the banks, big buildings, big setup, and big money that was deposited and lent to people. So we found that in England, a number of such big banks were there. In Netherlands, then in France, big banks were there. And during this industrial revolution, the Europeans, they unleashed the power of steam and they started their voyage and they have conquered many of the places. We were conquered by the British, French, Dutch, Danes. They all came over here. They had concentrated in different areas. But with them, banking had come to India. So formal banking we found in Goa, the bank which represented the government bank, which is right now a State Bank of India. So that Goa Central Bank, that was a Portuguese connection. Or in Mumbai, the Imperial Bank, which was a British bank, which came over here. So the banks came to India and Indians started, only the rich Indians started to get the banking facilities from there. It was not for the ordinary people. Ordinary people went to the Mahajan, went to the local money lenders. So 1945, till this period, banks normally were carried out from the big buildings and only a few offices in different cities. But, and the banks looked like a jail because there were strong rail guards and because they had to keep protected. The money was protected and in most of the cases, the transaction was done in hard cash, either in coins, gold coins, or in currency. So that was the point when the passbooks used to look like that. And I know that the people of our generation, they can remember this kind of passbooks. Even we used to take it to the bank and banker used to write it over there. So it was the banking till 1950s we have experience. But whenever we got freedom, and not only we, all over the globe, many countries, they tasted freedom. At that point of time, banking was required for development. Therefore, banks started to move to different places and they proliferated with different branches. So here I have kept 3 different branches. The first one with the red brick building, typical British, that is an Essex bank, a branch of that, State Bank of India branch, and Janata Bank Limited. This is Sitakundo Shakha, that is the Sitakund branch of Chattogram. So everywhere in the world, the banks used to started to move towards branches. So that was the next movement. Till 1980s or 90s, I say that till the millennium ends. Because by the 80s, whenever the erstwhile Soviet Socialist Republic got degenerated, after that, all the Warsaw Pact countries like Poland, Albania, Hungary, Bulgaria, they all became democratic and they started to bring in banking reforms. At that point of time, if we see that 1980s was the period for banking reforms in Europe, especially Central and East Europe, we find that India went for liberalization in 1992. In Bangladesh, the thing started in the later part of 1990s. Even in 2005, when I first went there for some training programs, I was invited by a company called Intimate for training. I found that still at that point of time, there had been manual banking in different places, but things started to change. So this millennium end, we found a lot of things started to change in the banking arena, and there had been a number of innovations. So one innovation, which is typically from the eastern part of the world, that is microfinance and micro banking. And hats off to Dr. Yunus from Grameen Bank. He made a big change, and this can be a business which can make profit. He had shown the world. But normally, the people outside Bangladesh, they think that it was only Dr. Yunus. But actually, it was a movement that started in Bangladesh. BRAC was another institution which had done similar kind of things. They have also entered different places, different villages, and they came out with a model. In BRAC, one young person who learned the things of microfinance, he came back to India again. He was from Tripura. He is one of my friends, Chandrasekhar Ghosh. He created history by making the Bandhan Bank over here, and that is a bank which is working so well because of this innovation. So this was a social innovation that I am referring to, which has happened over here. At the same time, some of the technological revolution also came during this period. One is the use of plastic cards, debit cards, credit cards, use of ATM, and banks were going for third-party products such as demat account for stock trading, mutual funds banks started to sell, or bank assurance, the insurance things, those were being sold from the banks. So we found that a number of things started to happen around us during this period of time. But still, we are talking about technology. ATM at that point of time, it was a great technology, something very new. I helped one of my very old relatives because he was around 85. He came to Kolkata, and his money bag was pickpocketed, and he was one of my grandfather's relative. So what I did was that I took him to an HDFC bank. I had withdrawn money from the ATM counter and gave it to him because he came from village. So whenever he went back to village, he said that my grandson, he had taken me to a bank and he had printed some 500 rupee notes and he had given it to me. So he thought that I was printing the note inside the bank. But the thing is that at that point of time, it was a very new technology. But right now, those are the things of the past. So that was something which the world has seen in the last millennium, in the 1999. After that, we find that 2020 till this period, a lot of innovations were on cards. A lot of things are happening. We are listening to that. We are seeing that new technologies are coming in different places. New things are happening. But suddenly we are finding that we are coming into a new normal after this COVID-19 attack. Maybe it is something a kind of a history, a kind of a pandemic. Maybe people are now referring to the pandemic which happened 100 years back. But at that point of time, things were not recorded properly. And because that was also there in some particular patches. But this time, all over the world, things have spread. So this is something which was unprecedented. Schools and colleges are closed for so many days. People are maintaining social distancing. We are not going to banks. Therefore, suddenly we find that something new which will be coming, and therefore this technology and other things that is getting some breathing space, and they are coming in a big way. Therefore, I believe that 2020 will be a landmark year, because after that we'll see a lot of change in our banking system. So if we see that, or maybe if we think that right now we are here, that is in 2020, we'll find a number of FinTech products and things will be coming in. Already it is there, but in a big way it will be coming. Suppose whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, you see whenever we go to an ATM counter, we type out the PIN. But whenever we are typing, there is a risk because maybe the COVID-19 virus may affect us. So maybe we require a better artificial intelligence from the machine. Just think of whenever I am there inside the ATM counter, the machine recognizes me. Maybe with my cornea of the eye, or maybe I have to show my thumb, or maybe my face recognition model. So artificial intelligence is something where actually they can look at me. And maybe it's an application of biometry. So whenever first biometry came, it was only the thumb impression that was taken. But right now, whether I can put the thumb on a machine, touch the machine, or whether that can directly take from me, that is something to be seen. Whenever we are talking about artificial intelligence, I have got a small device. Maybe many of you have got that, and maybe you have a bigger edition also. That is called Alexa from Amazon. So whenever that Alexa I put it, it is related with the internet connectivity of my room. And if I just tell Alexa that Alexa play Beethoven, so it starts playing all the Beethoven numbers. If I tell Alexa play maybe Beatles, so it will start playing all the Beatles song one by one. Or if I say that what is the weather of forecast of Kolkata, it gives the weather forecast. It takes the things from the internet, but the way it speaks, or maybe whenever in your Microsoft you find Cortana, she speaks perfectly. It seems that some woman, she is actually looking at you and she is talking to you. So artificial intelligence is going to different heights, and very soon maybe you will see a lot of changes in the banking delivery system. And there will be the 5G, because without that maybe many of the things will not move, and different IoT systems which will be coming in a big way. But whenever we are going for technology, there will be more and more cyber crimes, and that is something which is going to come. It was probably 2014 and 15. We did a number of programs on cyber security and cyber crimes, both in India, Bangladesh, and even in Malaysia, in Maybank. So whenever we did a program, it was a very exhaustive program of train the trainers. It was a 55-day program in Bangladesh, and that was funded by European Union, supported by Bangladesh Bank, and it happened in Bangladesh Bank Training Academy. Maybe some of the participants are also present over here. So whenever we had this program, then I was stunned whenever the bankers were telling what kind of experience they have found in cyber crimes, how people have taken away money from others, how the OTPs were shared by someone, or maybe those were tracked from others. And whenever we have done the similar programs in India with State Bank of India, with HDFC Bank, with Bank of Baroda, we heard similar kind of things. So the criminals or the cyber criminals, they are also very intelligent people. So they think of that how to break the system. So they sometimes act as hackers, and they take the data from different organizations. So whenever you have more technology, there will be more technology breakers who will come in the fray. And cybercrime normally attacks the people who are the soft targets and who actually know less about the things which are related to information technology applications, especially the senior citizens. Maybe what we find that many of the senior citizens do not know how to use the OTPs. They do not know how to take the things from their mobile, how to use a link, how to use the Wi-Fi system in the mobile. So they are very vulnerable. Maybe I find that banks should give more importance to them, because still now in the world there are the old people. They actually have a lot of finance. Maybe their whole life's income is there. Many people, they get pension or the retirement benefits, but they are targeted like anything. So we find that, but it is very difficult for them to learn right now. Maybe there are a few people who have a learning mind, especially the machines and others, but there are many who are not in a position to learn. So they are attacked, and there are some other people which I find that even they are actually illiterate people, but whenever they get a machine, they start learning it very fast. So this is a rickshaw puller from Dhaka. You can see that how the rickshaws in Dhaka that move, there are so many rickshaws, and every day this man sends money, sometimes 3 times a day, to his wife. His wife stays in Mymensingh. So this man knows how to send money through bKash. We know about Paytm over here, and today it has been cautioned to many of us that don't use GPay, because GPay is not regulated by RBI. Our governor had told that. So these are the payment wallets in Bangladesh. bKash is very popular. This is from BRAC Bank, and there are some other wallets also. So people are right now very smart. They can send their money from one point to another. But there are crimes also. But because they are defrauded. Sometimes some people say that if you do this, in that case, you will get double the money. But the money actually goes to another account. So we find that even the digital literacy they have got, but because of illiteracy in the real educational world, sometimes they are actually duped by people. So this is some area which will be of concern in the coming years, because we'll find that more and more people, they will be coming over here, and they will be cheated by others. Therefore, we require a better system of security. Therefore, right now we are talking about blockchain technology. That means a lot of points or nodes will be there that will check or verify the passwords and all the keys with which people will be joining a session. Therefore, we find that a lot of technology will be coming, and technology is not cheap. Technology is very costly. So banks have to spend a lot of money on technology. They have to invest money, and at the same time, they have to bring in other people on board, because banks suddenly cannot make their own division of making technology. So we are finding a number of parties will be attracted to the banks. So they will actually be there with the bank to provide the services. So you'll find that even in India, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, Bank of Baroda, State Bank of India, they have partnered with a number of FinTech providers who provide them, some provide them the payment gateway, some provide them the security, some provide them some platforms, remittances and all that. Therefore, we actually find that this is a huge cost for the banks, and more technology absorption, that means more investments will be required. More money banks have to shell out. Where from the money will come? The money will come from new income generation. Therefore, they have to generate more and more income. And that is not easy, because they have to acquire more and more clients, more and more products they have to sell, because to bank every loan product is a product, every deposit product is a product. They have to sell that. So that is the challenge right now that will be coming. So I was talking about personal banking, personal relationship, but that will be challenged in a sense, and banks look for different avenues to get new customers. And if you are a new customer, you will find that right now that we talk about the CASA score, that means current account and savings account. That is very important because you bring the customer. That means that is the acquisition of the customer. After that, they go for cross-sell. So whenever you are a savings bank account holder, they will tell you, I am giving you a credit card. Or do you want automobile loan? In that case, you will get 5% less interest. Do you want a housing loan? We'll make 2 more savings accounts for your near and dear ones, and those will be zero balance account. So in that way, banks will actually come make you ingrained with them with different products, with different SIPs in mutual fund and all these things, so that you suddenly cannot go out. So that is one thing, and banks will operate through different channels. Maybe the old channels like branches, call centers, you will get a number of calls. You will find that normally in India, 91140, these calls come from different places, from Gurgaon or Noida. ATMs, apps, all the banks have got apps. You will find that if you have a State Bank of India account, they will give you YONO, or maybe PayZapp from HDFC Bank. So banks will communicate with you on your mobile app. All the POS, point of sale. So whenever you are there in a mall, whenever you pay at that point of time, they come out with a small machine where your card is swiped. You will find that the machine is provided by some bank. That means the remittance that is being done through their machine. Then the third party communication. Maybe an insurance company, they have tied up with the bank. They are telling the parties, go to the bank. So you feel that, okay, they are trusted because I am giving the money to State Bank of India. But actually you are paying to a private insurance company. The customer referral. Some days back, I found the Standard Chartered Bank and Citibank is giving me this kind of a thing, that if 3 people who are very close to you, if they take a credit card, in that case, we'll give you this amount of money as cashback. So customer referral, net banking, mobile banking, banking correspondent channel. This is for the rural areas, for the areas who say the last mile. So in those areas, they are doing the business for banking, they are getting the accounts. What is banking correspondent in India, in Bangladesh? That is agent banking. And for some of the banks, agent banking is doing fabulous over there. They are collecting money from the villages because deposits are coming from over there. Just last year, I met some of the banks over here, that is Bank Asia, then Premier Bank, MTBL. They are doing a great job in providing different banking services to agent banking. So we'll find a number of channels which will actually acquire customers. The people who will be working in banks, they have to sell the products. They have to go to people to convince them that our products are the best. And in banks, this is a very difficult thing because all the products are similar. So whenever I buy a mobile from iPhone or a mobile from another company, we can find a lot of differences. But an FD from Standard Chartered Bank and an FD from State Bank of India and an FD from HDFC Bank all remains the same. Or maybe a demand draft. Maybe some demand draft may look better with
Sound is not coming.